I find it quite suspicious that just as Joe McCann faces intense scrutiny regarding the tragic passing of Ashlee Jenae, a Miami dancer suddenly emerges to drag her reputation through the mud. This timing feels incredibly orchestrated, and the internet is smelling a total setup. Could this be a calculated character assassination plotted by someone in the shadows? If they successfully paint Ashlee as a secret professional rather than a glowing bride-to-be, the narrative that she ended her own life becomes much easier for the public to swallow. But use your brain. Who truly gains from this convenient story right now? Because from our perspective, this looks like a pathetic attempt to flip the script and force people to judge Ashlee's history instead of demanding the truth about her final moments. Honestly, I expected real answers by this point, but we are clearly still stuck in a world of scripted theatrics. So let's dive in. Apparently, this stripper is claiming that Ashlee lived a double life, allegedly confirming a hidden second Instagram page used for her adult services that was recently scrubbed. Now, I have seen zero screenshots or actual proof of this mystery account. However, I did observe that her main page has very few posts, which some theorists think suggests a secondary profile for her darker content, especially since her Twitter is undeniably packed with explicit videos. Allegedly, this source also claims she can verify Ashlee worked as a bottle girl at Day or South in Miami, where she likely met her high-end clientele. If you audit Ashlee's feed, it is obvious she wasn't promoting products like your average influencer. She was marketing a lavish lifestyle with no visible income stream. While her friends insist she had a thriving hair brand, I have to ask, where are the receipts? Where are the commercials? Why wasn't she ever showcasing her own products on her platform? Listen, I know plenty has been leaked about Ashlee already, including a statement from a supposed personal acquaintance who said this. Nobody is brave enough to say it, so I will. Ashlee might be an influencer today, but everyone in Florida knows her history as a dancer. Joe actually met her at a club while she was literally working the pole. She was dancing in his private section, and for the last 18 months, they have traveled the globe fighting in 5-star hotels. This wasn't even their first engagement. It was their second. It is also not the first time authorities were called to intervene in their violent domestic disputes. Joe McCann is currently the target of a massive federal fraud investigation. He was allegedly skimming profits from failing investments for years and finally got caught red-handed. He is wealthy, shady, older, and maintains a predatory power dynamic over her, which, in my view, is exactly why he chose her. Only God knows what happened that night. May she find peace and her family find the truth. But this was undeniably a high-stakes sugar baby arrangement on steroids. Source: I am part of their inner circle and we share many close friends. However, I still believe the fact that this escort narrative is being pushed so aggressively is a total distraction from the forensic facts, especially coming from an unverified source. This could easily be a paid actor hired to spread propaganda. It is starting to look like these rumors are being weaponized to kill public sympathy, so people stop fighting for the truth because she was messy. But obviously, her loyal fans are not buying it. They are arguing that even if she had secrets, she was clearly joyful and planning a wedding, which makes the self-harm theory even more impossible to believe. The streets are whispering that whether she was a model, a dancer, or both, the math is simply not adding up, and Joe McCann has some serious explaining to do. Also, think about it. What if Joe McCann is secretly feeding these blogs to protect his own reputation? If he can convince the world Ashlee Jenae was a volatile person with a dark secret, his story about her being mentally unstable becomes a much easier sell. Honestly, by pushing this Second Life drama, he is creating a massive smokescreen. While everyone is debating her job title, they're forgetting to ask why the medical records mention signs of strangulation. Maybe even bankrolled this stripper to make the angle feel more legitimate. But I cannot overlook the disturbing details that have surfaced about Joe McCann recently. Like his history of rage, their constant fighting since landing in Zanzibar, how he waited forever to tell her parents what happened, how he reportedly ditched Ashlee Jenae at the villa to party with locals, and how he possibly had a secret insurance policy on her. We already know Joe McCann runs a crypto fund called Asymmetric that is currently cratering. We're talking about millions of dollars evaporated. Then, right after the crash, he conveniently announced a plan to raise $1.5 billion for a new venture. $5 billion for a firm called Accelerate. The theory is that to get a massive payout without looking suspicious, Joe McCann insured Ashlee Jenae, staged a high-profile proposal to show a perfect romance, and then orchestrated a tragedy in a country with questionable legal oversight. It also looks terrible that the family says they only found out something was wrong when Joe McCann called saying she was hospitalized, but gave no details. The mother asked for a timeline, and he admitted the incident happened 11 hours before he even bothered to call them. They say he then vanished, and the next call came from the hotel staff saying their daughter was dead. They haven't heard a word from Joe McCann since. No flowers, no help with the casket, no updates while he hides out in Zanzibar, nothing. Well, the logic is that Joe McCann simply bought off the staff and the local police. That would explain why there are no charges despite the evidence pointing directly at him. In fact, let me break down the scene so you see exactly how ridiculous this situation is. See, news of Ashlee Jenae was reportedly suppressed for 4 days, and no local outlets covered it because it was strictly forbidden. Controlled stories only dropped after international media caught wind of it, and the holes are massive. The only official version they gave is that the couple had a fight and moved to separate rooms about 10 minutes apart. Then on the night she was found, an employee was doing rounds at Villa 25, where Ashlee Jenae was staying, and she allegedly asked him for a phone charger. The man gave her the charger and went to Villas 24 and 26, but says Ashlee Jenae told him to return in 10 minutes. According to the criminal investigators, the worker went back after 20 minutes. He knocked. No answer. The lights were all killed, and he used a master key to enter. Based on that report, that is when he supposedly found Ashlee Jenae hanging from a small wardrobe rod by a bathrobe belt. Apparently, she was still alive but gasping at the time. So, he sounded the alarm, and they rushed Ashlee Jenae to the nearest clinic. After some basic treatment, she was transferred to a better hospital for specialized trauma care, but she passed away the next afternoon around 3 p.m. Since that initial report, there have been 0 updates, even though the autopsy was finished days ago. The word on the street is that Joe McCann may have paid to sanitize the results, making it look like Ashlee really took her own life. Personally, I am struggling to understand how Ashlee managed to tie a noose inside a dark closet, especially since the report says the lights were dead when the worker walked in. Also, can a grown woman really die from a tiny wardrobe rod? Something is rotten here. Until I see the CCTV of her talking to that worker or proof that no one else entered that room, I don't believe a word of it. Also, why is the autopsy being treated like a state secret? Ashlee's father, Harry Robinson, confirmed the exam was done on April 14th, but the family is stuck in a nightmare waiting for the paperwork and the return of her body to American soil. So, you see why her supporters are convinced this escort story is a total red herring. Because there is too much that doesn't make sense, and if we stay distracted by our past, we'll let a killer walk. Drop a comment below. Do you think this stripper is a paid witness, or is there truth to the double life?